Hello, Sarah here with Just Keep Traveling with Sarah. Today is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. And last week I was on a cruise with Royal Caribbean, and I personally had a great time. I think Royal Caribbean did a fantastic job. Obviously, there were some bumps along the way with this new COVID variant, Omicron. However, I believe everything was handled well. My family had a very enjoyable cruise. So can't complain. Everyone is home safe and sound. We did our at-home first round of COVID tests and we all came back negative. So that's a big plus too. We will test again before any of us return to the office or return to school. But I just wanted to fill everyone in because I know there's been a lot of questions about how the whole cruising experience went. Now, we did have to test prior to boarding the ship, every passenger, vaccinated or not. My children, unvaccinated, had to test at the port. And we had to physically wait there for the results, a quick antigen test, I believe it was, before we could board the ship. Once we all came back negative and clear, then we were able to board. There were several procedures and protocols in place on the ship to try and minimize the spread, like reducing the capacity in the elevator. There were cards on tables to denote whether it was cleaned and sanitized or if it was unavailable at the moment because it had just been used. Masking was being enforced in all indoor locations unless you were actively eating and drinking. Now, I have heard and I've seen pictures of people where I guess in some more of the like nightclub situations, distancing and masking wasn't as enforced. However, where I was for the majority of the cruise, it was. I was happy with that. My kids went to the kids club and they, you had to sanitize properly and wash your hands every time you went in. There's cameras as far as like contact tracing. Obviously you have to sign in and sign out and they get your cabin number and everything. I had heard that some of the children that were in the kids club did test positive either towards the end of the cruise or shortly after deembarkation. But again, not the case for my kids. Now, they didn't go all day every day. They went maybe one session a day, if that. And I saw when I was there where they were distancing, sanitizing toys and everything. So I felt comfortable with sending them. When we did hear of a few positive cases, we talked to the staff. They said any staff that was in contact with the child that tested positive had to return 2 negative tests before they could work another shift. So again, my husband and I felt very comfortable. And even on day 6, I believe it was the day before we left the ship, the kids had to go take another test. Again, another just quick antigen test. And those all came back negative. So I think everything was handled very well. It's what we signed up for in this climate. The one thing that was somewhat disappointing is that some of the Broadway shows were canceled because the cast had come down with COVID and they were positive. And then in a few areas, you could see and feel, especially if you were a prior cruiser, where the quality of service was maybe just slightly under what it had been previously, whether it was because a new protocol was in place where there, wasn't as much interaction. They removed a step from the service. Like usually on lobster night, right? They deshell the lobster for you. And that does not take place anymore unless you specifically ask. Minor detail, but someone that's cruised dozens of times may notice that. Also, you could tell there were certain areas that were just a little short-staffed. Little things like maybe the rock climbing wall had reduced hours. Again, the show was canceled. There were times where, maybe it was you were waiting a little longer than you would typically think for food service at a different venue, food and beverage venue or restaurant, specialty dining or not. just again, because obviously they were short staffed. But overall, I think it was a very positive experience. I'm happy to answer and go into detail any further questions, but just wanted to kind of touch on all of that, both the before process, what we did, how to getting the negative test for everyone, all the different procedures and protocols in place on board the ship, and then also getting off, how the kids had to get tested, and the final day once we got off. But we got home safe, we took our tests negative, and I'm already planning the next vacation, and I'm happy to plan one for you as well.